Firebear. It's Tuesday night, and this year that means we're playing Remnant Shadow, our Star Wars D6 actual play. Now, last week, I believe we left off Captain Ira, I'll get the name right eventually, had basically y'all been making a deal with, what was his name?
The king?
Yes, Groax. Groax.
Core Grox.
His people are suffering from a sickness. Doc figured out what it was, and it's a fairly basic antibiotic will take care of it. But this is a very technologically primitive world, so they just lucked out that off-worlders showed up. You know, they've had enough encounters with off-worlders to kind of know how stuff works. And I believe y'all had decided you were going to bring back a bunch of the medicine, but there was some other equipment you had talked about picking up for him. The
Enzymers.
Thank you. I remembered how much we said they were, but I couldn't remember what they were called. He had also expressed interest in, if you could buy him a couple of docks. Well, they don't have the infrastructure to keep that sort of thing going for too long. They'd probably run for several years.
Yeah.
They just have to hope off-worlders come around to fix it every now and then.
Could you take our droid in for a oil change and a tune-up, please, and just bring him back?
Let's see, but there was that, and you had gotten into touch with Arnox the Hutt.
Yeah.
To let him know what had happened to the crew that he had waiting to pick up Kubri.
Basically told him his people suck at their job, effectively.
Yeah.
Well, any large organization is going to have some bad apples to crop up in there,
Yeah, I mean, we were nice about it, of course, but that was the basic gist of it. Your people suck.
And he basically let you know he'll check through his organization and chastise whoever needs chastising.
So someone's being fed to a Sarlacc.
Come in the ball pit. It's fine.
I was about to say.
Yeah, it's playtime. It's fine.
But anyway, you found out Kubri needed to be dropped off on Kalla, which he was fine with. He's a large enough world. He is confident in his own skills to make himself vanish once you get him there. That is, it's the equivalent of a college town in some ways.
Yeah.
It's well known for its universities. It's a fairly bustling planet. Be easy enough to buy what you need there, or should be. So I think the decision had pretty well been made last time that y'all were going to head that way.
Okay.
And there was a little something with Ozen finding, not an old acquaintance because she didn't know him, but they likely had some common acquaintances.
Some weird healer. And then some weird cube. That's it.
That is a gift, and you should appreciate it.
Oh, I do. As far as anyone else is concerned.
As far as anybody else is concerned, you just wandered off one night.
Yeah.
Oh, well, she was back the next morning, so none of our business. Same thing with Kubri. He'd gone out to investigate the bars in the area.
A little sleet-eyed, but...
So, is there anything else y'all needed to do or wanted to do on this planet?
Not really.
Okay. Then once again, the king invites you to breakfast. You have a nice meal. You give him the timetable that you hope to be back, but of course that sort of stuff can vary.
Happen.
Yeah.
He has his people loading up the silver you need to buy the product, and of course you'll get more payment once you get back.
Yeah.
They're not so naive as to just dump all their money on you. I'm sure they'll come back. I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. So y'all get loaded up. Y'all take off. Everybody's on board. Y'all seen Kubrick. Nobody's disappeared. No, sudden dead bodies.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
As you take off into orbit, who runs the sensors on y'all's ship? I think that's the...
I'll let them fight over that. Because we all know what Aida does. Or Aida.
Is there, well, what stat would sensors be under?
All the ship stuff is in mechanical.
Yeah, there's a gunnery, piloting, and shields. There's nothing specifically sensors.
Okay, is there something specific for a computer?
That would be probably under technical.
Oops, that's not
Carry
the right-
systems.
If it's security systems or computer program repair, probably me.
And you do tend to be the co-pilot,
Yeah.
which puts you in charge of shields and all kinds of stuff. So,
And the one he's run with the most, yeah. Io definitely the one he'd trust in that position.
Horrible mistake.
Until she gets distracted by cats.
To be fair, she was screaming out on the landing like, "Hey!"
That sounds like her. Which one is it?
Chop.
Chop. Yeah. That's about right.
the sun's down. It's getting colder out here. Let me in.
You're literally in the house, just like 10 feet away from me.
No, I must be with you.
Oh, the landing. I was thinking of the port, like she was outside. My bad.
Nah.
Yeah, she's very dramatic.
Nobody bothers. If nobody has need for Ozin, then she's just gonna be in her room, new toy,
Pondering the cube.
pondering.
All right. I guess give me. Surprised they don't have a. I'm torn between some kind of perception something.
Should they maybe have it in later editions?
Possibly.
Well, the trick is you can also just make a new skill.
Yeah.
In
Well, no, that's true.
different things.
That is definitely true.
Just a matter of would it be in mechanical or would it be knowledge or technical.
Oh well, we're just gonna go with search right now. She's definitely got the computer skills to operate the computer part of it.
Alright, search. Not bad at all.
Pretty good. That's
All right. At first, the sky seems to be clear. But then you notice a little blip coming out from around the planet's moon.
Cap.
I'm gonna hazard a guess that this is gonna be ship number 3.
It's a ship. You don't know if it was the ship that was on the planet or, just another one happens to be wandering by.
R2, start astrogating.
Can go make sure the shields are on.
Call.
Ozen just gets to like walk by, knock on the door.
Huh?
Ship appeared. Might need your help.
Okay.
Because I have
Alright.
actual dice today.
I have a question for Jeremy.
Ha.
Did Ozen have the cube activated?
No, she's just looking at it for now.
Okay.
It's not.
Simply pondering it.
Just. It's less about activating it right now. It's just like there's a world in this thing. At my fingertips.
It's like having
And
Google
then
in a
when-
box.
Yeah, and then when she hears EO, it's just like, oh shit, there's stuff going on.
That would be uncomfortable to have a cube like that stuffed up under your shirt.
Yeah.
R2 got a 17 for astrogation
Okay.
to start plotting the route. Because I have dice today.
Very nice, very nice. Alright, what is the astrogation difficulties?
Say because I'm a nerd, it's Warhammer dice.
You're crossing the streams, man.
You really are.
Thank you for reminding me about the dice.
Astrogation shots, here we go.
Well, they're space-themed dice. It's that or very, very fancy, shiny green ones, and that's not a very Iria look. He's more bland.
Okay, what did you say your R2 got?
He got a 17.
Okay. And the difficulty was like a 7, so he had no problems. Because, major planet, it's on a regular route, the initial jump from where you're at is the only thing that required a little bit of real checking.
Yeah.
Alright. So, you're too far away to shoot, at least with any real chance of hitting anybody.
Yeah.
Are you going to attempt to keep your distance from them until you can jump?
He's gonna try.
Okay.
Because there's still a little bit of damage on the ship.
Oh,
So he's-
just a smidge.
I mean, yeah. But still.
Can we see like what type of ship it is compared to ours, as far as like bigger, smaller,
Technically, it is a little smaller than yours.
but it's built more for fighting?
Yes. It's. I mean, it's not a fighter by any means.
It's also not a freighter though.
Right. It probably does. It would have some mild cargo space. This is definitely more of a civilian escort, or like a planetary security force might use something like this. It's not full on military, but it's beefier fight wise than you guys.
There's definitely more gunpowder than ours.
Surprising.
Think Boba Fett's ship as opposed to the Millennium Falcon. It had some cargo space. You could do multiple things with it, but
Yeah. Okay.
all right. So speed and pursuit. You are currently at long range, and you are wanting to stay that way.
That
Where your
is
opponent is wanting to get closer. Alright, so we roll our speed dice.
Alrighty.
believe you've got access to.
Yeah.
Light speed.
Let's see.
Rubicon sublight speed is 3D.
Yeah. Is that the only thing I roll for that, or? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because piloting wouldn't factor into that, would it?
No, this is just straight speed.
Gotcha. I need to get that upgraded soon.
All right, they got a 12.
13. A 5 and 2 4s.
We're just keeping like perpendicular to them.
So yeah, y'all veer off slightly, and they're basically like perfectly matching your speed. They can't get any closer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, how many rounds does it take for the... Alright, let's see. Oh, when I said 7 earlier, I was looking at the time it takes. I was looking at the wrong astrogation chart. You said R2 rolled a what now?
17.
Alright. So yes, that is still definitely a standard journey. It's just fine.
Let's see, from looking at the chart. Oh, you don't have the astrogation things up here on the chart.
Yeah, standard journey is anything from an 11 to a 15.
Okay.
Though hasty entry adds 10 to that. So R2 is likely taking his time.
Yeah.
Since you told him to start, you didn't tell him it was anything too important.
I'll say he's also droid, as opposed to fleshy meatbag.
Like he's gonna go at droid speed.
Droid going at droid speed.
We're gonna say it's gonna take him 3 rounds. Since it's not a real long. Since it's not a real long journey, he's having to plot here.
Understood.
So next round. Ooh, that's not good. He got a 6.
For him. 7.
No fucking way.
3 and 1 3 2 2s.
All right, if he does that this time, for the third one before the jump, if he beats him by 1 again, he'll have to go back to the dice roller. That's all there is to it.
All 6s.
7.
6.
All right, they get within
Enough
medium
by
range.
1.
All right, so I'm assuming everybody that mans a gun is manning their guns.
Yeah.
Yes.
And before, well, I guess Ozen wouldn't be wielding a gun this. If she was on shields last time, she's not great at ships, y'all. This isn't her forte.
I would quick throw stones to see which one gets shield and which one gets gun, because they're pretty equally matched.
Yeah, would you have what, 2D?
Yeah, 2D plus 2.
I have a 2D plus 2 as well. So the ship itself gives you 2D plus 2. The ship gives us what? 5? No, 3D?
I thought we were just using our stat.
Yeah, it's still our stat. The damage is a different stat.
Yeah.
No, the weapons have a fire control.
They do have a fire control you add on to.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so the fire control. So the fire control of y'all's laser cannons are 3D. So you would add 3D to whatever your skill is.
Oh, so I'd be rolling 5D for guns then.
Right.
3D plus.
Yeah, it's computer, because it's the whole computer-assisted hard targeting thing.
Sure. I'll get on the gun then.
I mean, if nobody cares, Doc can operate shields.
I'll get Ozen will get on a gun. She will on this round that we're like driving and this ship is getting closer to us. I will use the calm power on myself.
Okay.
Alright, roll for it real quick.
Quick question: do the shields add 3D to our shield, like mechanical thing, or no?
No. If you make the shields roll where you've aligned the shields correctly, that 3D adds to the whole dice to roll
Okay.
for void damage.
All right.
I just barely made the DC. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
All right.
9, plus 1 is 10. Woo! Just made the DC.
Alright, so combat sequence. Piloting segment. Pilots, co-pilots, gunners announce their actions. They take this round of combat. So do any other characters on the ship. Technically, we do that before the speed segment, but since that didn't matter until they got within range.
Yeah.
Alright, so pilot, what are you doing?
Well, he is going to try to keep the ship from getting closer.
Okay.
Though with
Well, with the speed roll, he has gotten within medium range. He's gone from long
Okay.
range to medium range.
well, if they get shot at, then he will try to keep them from getting shot.
Okay. So you're basically evading,
Yes.
which it's basically like dodging.
Yeah.
Co-pilot, which is for this instance is basically whoever's operating the shields, I think.
Just, well, yeah.
Doc, you operating them or?
Yeah, I mean, Doc can operate them.
Okay.
This is gonna be something where it's like, yeah, sure, Doc can operate them. He's got like 10D on it randomly.
No.
What do you got?
Say, if we want to get technical with him being a robot, we can put a chip in him that buffs
up
the skill up to 2 plus whatever the maximum of his stat is. Like it puts it at that point immediately.
We have to get there first. We're not there yet.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't cost much, actually.
I was about to say, if y'all get bored and have the credits, I'm sure Doc don't care.
It's like 400 credits, I think.
We're going to Radio Shack.
Just slides
Radio
open a
Shack.
side panel, puts a chip in the side of him. It's like, congratulations, you can operate the shields better.
Where does violence chip come from?
Is somebody bumping their mic? I keep hearing a little, almost like a squeak and a thump. All right.
So
And
what you need me to do?
All right. So so you're operating the shields.
Mm-hmm.
There is a skill.
Mm-hmm. The Starship Shield.
So roll those dice.
Okay.
And you need to get a.
Probably didn't clear it.
Let's see.
What are your stats for the shields? Like, what's your skill roll?
2d6 plus 2.
So your mechanical is 2D?
Mm-hmm.
That puts you at 4D plus 2 if we got you the chip.
Alright, where did the difficulty chart go for shields? Alright, so what did you get on the roll?
9.
Alright, you did a 15 when they're at medium range.
Like, in all due honesty, when it comes to Doc, what you want him to tell you? Knowledge. Why? Because everything's a 4D already. Alien races, I can give you 5. Then it's medical. Medical's 8. Other than that, everything's pretty much plain average.
Yeah, that's idea with anything mechanical.
Alright, let me see if their pilots can get their shields going. Alright. They get to use theirs. And then it is who all's taking a shot.
Good shot.
Alright. Ozen, take your shot.
All right, taking a shot.
26.
All right, their pilot is ready to evade. But only got a 20. So that shot hits. Roll your damage.
Damage is 40.
Yep.
Hell yeah. 12 damage.
All right. So look at that, plus their shields. Got a 25. What did you say you had?
I'm sorry?
They got a 25. What did you get on your damage?
12 damage.
Okay. Alright, so that blast deflected off shields.
Okay.
Who's next up on the guns?
Guess Keltser will go next.
Alright.
Which gun did
I used laser.
Okay, and what about
there are 2
We only
lasers,
have-
Lasers.
and the
and then
torpedoes.
and the torpedo. So did you want to do torpedoes or did you want to do lasers?
We only have 4 torpedoes.
Ah,
3 now, actually, but yes.
okay.
So I would say just keep with the laser and save the torpedoes for like big bada boom.
I'm just picturing IO on the ship. Fire the torpedoes! No! Do you know how much those cost?
Mm-hmm.
Lasers are free!
Yeah, lasers are free. Torpedoes cost money, and you gotta find somewhere that sells them.
24.
Alright, that's the hit.
Yep.
Alright. So you'd be evading with less dice. In medium range. Got all the charts printed out, but there's so many charts. Alright, medium range. And you said you got a what?
24.
Okay, yeah. He rolled crap for his evasion that time, so that's a hit. Roll your damage.
17.
12, 30, 40, 19, 20, 22.
17.
Alright, their shields take it.
Shield definitely.
Then they shoot at you. There are 2 lasers incoming. Okay. Captain, are you evading?
So that is a 30.
Okay, so that's so that 30 adds to the difficulty to hit at medium range. So the difficulty to hit at medium range is 15.
So I have to beat a 45.
And they got a 22, so. Then on the second attack.
It's 1 dice less, correct?
Yes, on your evade.
Okay.
Oh no, you go from 8 to 7.
How will he cope?
7 to 6, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So. With the difficulty, that'd be a 36 in total.
All right, they got in the 20s again. So. All right, so y'all have a
Who
quick
needs shields
exchange.
when you got these pilot skills?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll be happy to have those beefed up shields when, they get a really good shot off.
Yeah.
Or when y'all start,
Well,
or
we've
when y'all
got-
run into an actual ace pilot.
Yeah. Well, like us, we've gotten 2 pretty solid hits off, and they've just been absorbed by the shields.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they come streaking out. You have that brief exchange of gunfire, pew 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 pew, and then all the stars stretch out and y'all are gone.
Yep.
Assuming the captain hits it as soon as R2 tells him it's ready.
He does.
So y'all all feel the little, jerk as it jumps to light speed.
Well, we found the rest of them.
Or someone else that's pissed off at us.
The odds they
There's-
know where we're going.
There's so many possibilities.
Could be anything, honestly.
And the odds that they know where we're going, I mean,
It's a possibility. Depends on if they have somebody smart enough to be able to follow our general direction and astrogate it correctly.
Kubrick steps into the bridge. Y'all are having this conversation. Sipping his coffee or whatever it is they drink.
Mm-hmm.
calf.
Yes, that is what they call it. You're right. If that crew could afford somebody smarter to do that, they could probably have afforded somebody that was a better shot.
Yeah, I kind of figured as much. You never know, though.
They could start punching downward at the planet that we just at.
Well, they don't know where we lifted off from, just that we were in orbit.
Yeah,
It was
it's a
pretty
big planet.
quick for someone.
No use worrying about it.
Yeah. So what's the time it'll take to get there?
That's gonna take you about 4 hours.
Okay.
The travel time is pretty good when you're following major routes.
Yeah.
Was there anything else, Captain?
That's all for now.
If you need
Just be ready. They might have somebody ready to ambush when we drop back out again.
a drop off. Ozino back to quarters. Kind of like get a crink out in her back because that jump did not do any favors for her.
The arthritis always acts up in hyperspace.
Yep.
In hyperspace and when it rains.
They're just calling me out.
That's a mood, though. Let's be real here.
But yeah, everybody stands down from battle stations. So what do y'all do in your downtime on ship?
Meditate.
I already will in character write up those dossiers he's been making that I've been making. Keeping notes on people. He in particular will note that considering they seem to be in fairly good with the king of that one group, might be might be able to do some local trades with them to maybe get some goods. Some like unique stuff that they find to sell to like collectors for a fairly good amount of credits, something like that.
Local arts, that sort of thing.
Yeah. You never know.
So where are your ancient kings buried? Grave robbing. I mean, archaeology.
Nah. There are lines that he won't cross. That is one of them. Other than that, he will go get a hold of the arms and armor that they reappropriated from the unfortunate fools that crossed their path. And we'll work on repairing them and getting them in functioning order for sale.
Okay.
If any repairs need to be made.
Some of the armor probably needs a patch or something. Nothing
Okay.
drastic.
All right, nothing that will require like a roll or something.
Oh no.
All right, so that will be what he does for the rest of the time after he makes those dossiers.
Okay.
Doesn't do like meditation. She does like a weird Jedi Tai Chi. But instead of using the lightsaber, she's using the baton that she has out, just like kind of moving around with it, just keeping her body active. That's what's kept her limber all these years.
All right. What does Io do when she's got free time on the ship?
Probably just go over the systems, make sure everything's okay. Like computer systems.
Okay. And what does Doc do?
Probably be looking over everybody's medical records, making sure there's no abnormalities, and seeing if there's anything that needs to be updated via medical information.
Making sure no one got the bird flu while we were on planet.
Basically.
No, remember, he'd figured out bird flu wouldn't translate to
anybody.
To you mammalian species.
There was a particular handful that it would affect.
Mostly bird or reptile related.
Last he checked, that didn't qualify any of us. So it should be muy bueno.
So what does Keltser do in her free time?
Probably clean her blasters out. Make sure they're in tip-top shape.
Clean them good. Make sure the chrome coating is,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just picturing her with blinged out guns.
Goes like this with the gun.
Ever play Army of Two?
Yes, I have.
The gold-plated guns, yeah.
Yeah.
That was always my role when me and my buddy played. I'd have all the blinged out weapons, so I would draw their attention while my buddy would sneak behind him.
It's a mood, though.
Kubri spends the trip mostly in the lounge, watching vids.
Fair enough.
He catching up on his soaps.
Look, intergalactic independent agent. It's easy to lose track of your stories.
I'm unlocking a memory from when we played Esper Gen all of a sudden.
But
I mean, we'll find Space Cinnabon somewhere.
But Io, at one point, you walk by, and he is repeating lines from the show. mimicking the accents of each character as they're speaking.
That checks out.
It's a show about interspecies diplomacy from it's like a historical drama kind of thing. But he's mimicking the different accents of the different characters. And doing a pretty good job of matching their voice. But, 4 hours later or so, R2 sends a chime to the ship to let you know, they ought to get ready to drop out of hyperspace.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the captain to the bridge sort of thing.
Yeah. And he will certainly head back to the bridge.
And you drop out into the Kalla system.
Cool.
I want to chill these off before I got to use it as
Do I?
The creds?
cred.
Ah, yes.
And then I have this one too.
But yeah, you drop out into the system. You're flying in. There's ships all over the place. It's a fairly busy system.
Okay.
You have sort of the prescribed routes that you follow. You get to the planet. You get in control. You get in contact with their traffic control. And they set you down, near the main city.
Okay.
You are in dock 114. Don't forget where you park.
Alrighty.
By the time you get landed, Kubrick has got his luggage and is at the ramp.
That eager to leave.
It's been a pleasure, Captain. A far more interesting trip than I was expecting. But if I'm going to do my disappearing act, best I do it before anyone has time to figure out where we've landed.
Right. Well, it's probably for the best then.
Yes. But I should compliment you. You and your crew have made the best of a bad situation.
Much as can be made out of it.
I'll be sure to speak highly of you to Arnux. Should I speak to him again?
You do that.
And then as soon as the ramp is down, he's gone.
Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't run. It's a very casual stroll. But...
It's a purposeful stroll.
He speaks just very briefly to the customs guy that is coming to meet the ship. He basically presents like an ID, and I'm just a passenger.
Yeah.
You have all this stuff.
Yeah, well, he just had the little 2 luggage size containers. Yeah, he's got those.
But he has both of them like this or something.
They had
rifle.
They had telescope
Extendable rolling handles.
and
Okay.
not wheels.
Gotcha.
Almost nothing has wheels in Star Wars. Very few things have wheels in Star Wars. Little repulsor lifts or something, so they hover an inch off the ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's luggage.
Yep.
The custom guys approaches, asks who the captain is, and you go through the very typical, paperwork. What are you here for? you have to pay the docking fee. It's like a 200 credit docking fee, which seems a little high. But you did notice landing at the dock is super busy today.
Get the sense that they're extorting us.
It's not that bad. But this is the capital. Like I said, it seems to be a busy day. He mentions that you're, here in time for like the Founders Festival they're having. So it's kind of a holiday that he's stuck working during.
So I need to mark 200 credits off the list. So he will pay the docking fee.
They of course ask you what sort of, what kind of cargo, if any, you've got currently, and what, are you here for business or pleasure, that sort of thing.
Business mostly. We were dropping him off, and we are here to acquire some cargo to leave again.
Okay. And he gives you the contact information so that, when you've acquired your cargo, you can pay any, I don't want to say tariffs, but like export tax.
Tariff, it's fine.
The amount they charge is pretty standard. So, other than that, he just welcomes you to the planet, and then moves on to whatever the next ship is that landed. Typical bureaucrat you've dealt with.
Out of curiosity, what race was this dock worker?
Human.
Okay.
You see a mix of races around. It's probably more humans than anything else.
Gotcha. I wanted to know, because if we were dealing with any Mirialan, then that would get interesting really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And just for the record, technically the planet is Kalla 6.
Okay.
But I think it's the only inhabited planet
right
in the sector, so, let's see. Other things about the planet. I've mentioned the University of Kalla is well known. It's also the headquarters of Unlimited Horizons Inc.
Interesting name.
Trying to say what they were. Something called Paleodinite. I don't know. It's something they control most of the supply of. It'd be nice if they told me what that stuff was, but anyway. As you begin to move, as you move through the city, you see banners going up and decorations and stuff for this Founders Festival.
Yeah.
All right, so now that you're on planet, what are y'all doing?
If anything, Doc might go and see about procuring medical stuff for both the ship and see if there's anything he can get on this planet for the bird people, and he would probably ask the captain to go along with him if he didn't have any prior business.
He'd actually tell Keltser to go with you for that. The captain actually will see if any of his contacts are here. Because with the whole older deal between Muriel and the Trade Federation, he spent some time with the Trade Federation learning mercantilism
Mm-hmm.
and all that. So if any of his contacts are here, basically the whole background of he keeps track of all his contacts that he deals with. He wants to see if he could offload those weapons and armor for a decent price to try to recoup the docking fee.
You make contact with a. It's not that he's necessarily your contact.
Yeah.
But you know, one of your contacts is like related to him.
Mm.
So he can get, he can call his cousin or whatever it is and kind of get who will put in a good word for you.
Gotcha.
Now, is there some sort of negotiation?
There is a barter skill.
Barter.
Mm-hmm.
Again.
So you start talking to this guy. You sit down, you're having a drink. There's some chit chat over. Oh, you know my cousin, and
Yeah.
he. It sounds like casual conversation, but some of it is definitely him kind of probing you to make sure you actually know who you say you know.
Yeah.
But he seems pretty satisfied about it,
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it also stalled long enough for him to send a message off to somebody. Do you actually know this guy? Okay. But eventually you get around to the business of, what are you bringing me? This guy owns a store.
Yeah.
I would hesitate to call him a pawn shop owner exactly, but
Yeah, he will present the rifle, the 4 pistols, the 2 or the 4 blast vests that have light use but patched and repaired, and the 2 comm units. Well, no, one of the comm units. He's going to keep one of them for himself.
I was gonna say, Ozik should probably make use of one of those vests if you are a bunch of.
Does Ozen speak up before he leaves?
Fair. She'd be busy with her own
Well-
stuff. Yeah, go for it. You're good.
well, you've also had the entire trip,
Mm.
Yeah.
Fair.
Well, let's say if Ozen mentions it, then
Yeah, I think she would have on like in like the 4-hour like hyperspace drive.
okay.
And I think back
Yeah,
on the
you might have,
planet, did Doc grab one of the just regular blaster pistols that they were packing back on the planet?
Kubri threw him a holdout.
Yeah, he threw him a holdout pistol,
Yeah.
and Doc just kind of had it just to have it. But I mean, he'd sell it.
Well, Curie would take his bag. I'm just
Oh yeah, well he would have given it back.
I was just asking, did Doc try to get himself a blaster?
No.
Okay.
So in that case, it would be 3 blast vests and 1 comm unit, 1 rifle, and 4 pistols.
Okay. All right. So your bargaining or your barter is, where's that fall under?
Perception.
Okay. So give me a roll on that. As y'all start to debate, he's interested in buying it. It's the merchandise is fine.
Mhm.
But he kind of saying, but it's used and it's clearly patched, and some people
Well,
won't buy armor off a dead guy.
Yeah.
All right, what did you get?
I got a 17.
All right.
Which is actually really good for that. with only 4D. Ain't bad.
All right. All right. He got a 24. So he's willing to give you a third of listed price. I mean, he didn't know how rough a life this stuff's had, and you know.
I'd accept half listed for the armor, but those weapons are fully cleaned and workable.
But they're used.
All weapons are used.
You gotta take something off. Not. He turns over and points to a wall where he's got some brand new stuff.
You think they don't test that gear before it goes out?
Your argument doesn't seem to be having much effect on him. All right. Do you have the total actual value of the stuff figured out, or do we need to?
I need to double check. Give it 1 second. Equipment. No, that's not. Is it? Ah, no. Here we go. Weapons.
All right. Archaic
Blaster.
weapons is not what you've got. All right. So blaster pistols, brand new, are 500. And the armor was protective vests are 300.
And a standard rifle is 1,000.
And then a comm unit is oh, we got Davy Jones in the chat. Hey, Davy.
How's it going, Davey?
And yes, it is Star Wars. Let's go around.
Communication.
Yeah, my little DM chart thing here doesn't have the comm unit, I don't think.
150 for a standard comm link.
All right. And you had how many blasters?
1 rifle, 4 pistols, 3 vests, and 1 link. So how much for the vests?
The vests were 300.
So that's if we round up, that's 4,100 credits all told.
All right. And he is willing to give you. Well, right now he is he is starting the bargaining off at a third.
Two-thirds.
Well, he thinks that's an insane jump. But you know, you've made your argument, so give me another roll.
Well, he'll say, "Well, that was an insane lowball too."
He smiles a little bit like, fair enough. Give a roll. 17.
16.
Oh, sir.
He'll bump it up to 2,000 even. It's you know, but you're taking food out of his children's mouths.
I did all the cleaning and maintenance, and your family knows that I'm a trusted runner. 2,100.
All right, give me another roll.
Well, I know where I'm putting points into.
16.
20.
All right. And your last offer was, you said 2,100?
2,100, yeah.
All right. You drive a hard bargain. But he will go for 2,100.
Okay. And he will, he'll shake the hand and he will say, and because you were this was a good negotiation, he will then offer the blaster packs with the rest of the purchase. As he will add it in. Because those are separate.
Oh, yeah.
As I say this because like we were already like neck deep in negotiations when I found that out. But as I was unaware of how damn pricey those things were.
He has a good laugh. Tells you, if you come back again, if you continue to prove yourself reliable, maybe he can do a little better for you next time.
And if you have any cargo that needs moved, you let me know.
He might at some point.
So what was this man's name, since we might be doing business in the future?
Also, what race is he? Like, because I wanted so bad to picture like a little green like blob. As far as like you're taking food out of my children's mouth, just points and there's like a little green blob.
His name is Deonor Vanda. Deonor Vanda. That's first and last name kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, what race is he?
Some variety of near Duros. It's not quite a Duros, but it's some related species. So think your typical gray alien, but more human proportioned. Large eyes, gray skin.
Okay, Duros related near human.
No, near Duros.
Oh,
Duros
okay.
are like humans. You have a lot of near species. Like the Nemoidians are related to the Duros.
Right. Near Duros species. Potential future business partner. Good to know.
All right. Is Io or Ozen doing anything?
Ozen is just gonna hit the streets and look for maybe not necessarily a dive bar, but just somewhere to like stay on the ground for a little bit and just listen in on people's conversations at just a random bar. Yeah.
Is Io going to leave the ship?
Is anyone else stayed on the ship?
Just the R2 unit.
I will say Iria will be coming back to the ship now that he's offloaded the.
Well, yeah, but if she was leaving,
assets.
she'd probably have left when he left.
Yeah.
And this is the capital city. This is a decent spaceport. It's got it has security.
Yeah, she'll make sure double check the locks and everything until the R2 unit, let us know if someone tries to fiddle with the ship, but she'll go wandering.
Okay. Anything particular she's looking for, or just up and down the streets?
Well, let me look at the book and I'll get back to you on that, but
right.
Mostly just getting, walking around on planet for a little bit.
All right. So Ozen, you find a bar. A fair number of people in here. Due to the festival, a lot of people have the day are off from work. The vid screens are up. There's some of them are just showing some of the festivities. Some of it seems to be a, your typical kind of sports. You notice some people in the bar and up on the screens occasionally. They're talking about some big race they're having, the speeder race they're having that they're hosting as part of the festivities. There's two guys sitting over at a table close to you. Then with the little blurb about the upcoming race, one of them just kind of beats the table a little bit. Just excitedly. And he tells his buddy, we're gonna win that.
Silent, are you?
The guy looks over here. Well, we used to be. We used to do a lot of speeder racing back home. No. But then we wound up getting work and with the let's see, what was after we won? Was it the Bunta Classic? Yeah, basically we won a big race, several years back and got a job out of it. So we haven't been able to do much racing lately. But we took some time off. We heard about the big race they were having here, so yeah, we've come in and entered our speeder.
Plucky underdog. I guess not.
He's like, whoa. My boy Thal here, won at the Bunta.
Oh. Here I thought you were just,
And he launches into this entire story about this race. Boba Fett is involved. There's a thermal detonator on his ship, on the speeder at one point. There's some combat droid that's like, tried to befriend one of their droids. It's a whole.
Talking about the Bonta, or are you just talking about this race?
No, this was all leading up to the race.
Oh, he's effectively swapping war stories here.
Right.
Gotcha.
Eventually he stops and introduces himself as Jord. He's Jord. His friend here is Thal.
Ozen.
They ask where you're from. It's a conversation. They're asking where you're from. They look like they might be 30 or so.
I'm from out. Fuck, what do they call it?
The
Outer Rim?
Outer Rim?
Outer Rim, that's it. Yes, thank you. I'm from Outer Rim.
Let's see. Thal and Jord. Dadgum advertisements. Make sure they're from the same planet. Jord tells you he's originally from Ingo. And Thal's from I don't know how is it. Behemoth. But they ran into each other and buddied up some time back. The Bunta they were in was a few years before the Rebel Empire thing really kicked up. 5 or 6 years before the Battle of Yavin, basically. But he uses whatever the dating system in canon would be. So, well, you know what brought us here. What's got you in here in town or here in system?
Oh, much more boring. Much more boring answer. I'm just waiting for business to pick up again with ship.
Oh, you're in shipping.
Yes.
You work for one of the corporations, or are you like a...
Independent.
Oh, okay.
We're here for just a little bit, and then pick up a new load and off. It's mundane comparatively to and she like eyes looks at them up and down to whatever you two.
Well, business-wise, we design speeders, but like I said, it's vacation and we're here to race. We do all the even back in the day we did all the modifications to our racer ourselves.
Interesting.
If you're here with tomorrow if you're still here tomorrow, you should come check out the race. Fall here being the White Witch.
The White Witch. I was just gonna ask, where is it gonna be? Is that the name of their?
That's the name of a speeder. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Where is this race going to take? I'm not from here.
Right outside of town, they built the track basically at the old Imperial base.
I'm still here.
Yeah. When the imps, I don't know, pulled out, got ran off, whatever happened around here. It's been a hectic couple of years.
Yeah, tell me about it. I presume people go there and bet on ships or their favorite racers or what.
Oh yeah. If you want to bet on the races, that's definitely a thing. We're in the race, so we can get too involved in that.
Then again, how much do you believe in yourself?
He goes, I'd bet on myself if I could. But so you chew the fat with him for a while. Eventually, you notice Jord kind of cutting his eyes at his buddy, and his buddy, Thal excuses himself, and Jord offers to buy you a drink.
Am I being hit on?
Maybe a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, but not in like any. He's not being pushy
sure. It's yeah. Just being gentlemanly. Yeah, I'll accept that. I'll just very jokingly say, got anything better than Rotgut?
It gets a little bit better here. He buys, Well, he didn't have the cheap stuff, the super cheap stuff anyway, but.
Yeah. Let me tell you, this is what I've had for the last the last little bit here, and it's not it.
Well, there are, I mean, this is a fine spot. We really just hit here because it reminded us of the kind of places we hung out back when we were racing. They've got some better restaurants around here, though.
Maybe one step at a time.
Oh.
Where'd your associate go?
Oh, I think he was gonna go do some more prep on the ship, or on the speeder, rather.
May I go see it?
Oh, he lights up. Oh, he did. He's happy to show you. You're talking to a car guy.
Yeah. The next bit is just gonna be Ozen going, yeah. She has like 0 in starship piloting, or I guess that's its own skill. So fair enough, but also.
So that is the White Witch.
Oh, cool. Where is Speedercraft on here? Or what role would that be?
I forget what the
repulsor lift operation? or starship.
I forget what speeders fall under. We'll look it up if it becomes relevant. We'd probably just go wherever the baseline piloting is.
Okay.
But yeah, sure enough, you get there. Thal's Thal's tinkering on the ship. You see him look up. He just smiles and looks back down at what he's doing. Oh, hey! When he sees y'all walking in, George is going off on the ship. And it's a 2-seater. There's room where you could put like an astromech in it. Not that you need it for like astromech purposes, because it's essentially a car.
Sure.
And yeah, there's a whole lot of Jord going into the technicalities of what they've done to it.
Modified land speeder, you say? She's just like picks up on like proper nouns every now and again. It's like, oh, you're using that thing.
Yeah, the gist of what Ozzy can pick up from this conversation is it's faster than normal. Mm-hmm. It handles a little better than normal. And where most land speeders have like a 2-meter altitude height, you can get this sucker up 4 meters high sometimes, for a while. So if somebody's ever driven one of these things, that's something you kind of go, oh,
Means, Ocean, if she ever had like a speeder, it was just for like point A to point B.
Well, back when you were traveling with your master, it may have been mission-based sort of thing.
Yes. But even that, still point A, point B, and it wasn't like I had to take a specific one.
Well, you know how to drive. It's like you know how to drive a car, but you are not a car guy.
Yeah, I know how to drive a car. Driving in like Daytona is still not something I can do.
But if somebody told you, oh yeah, this car can jump a 50-foot chasm,
ooh,
you would know that's impressive.
Yeah. Yes.
But
I'll be looking out for you at the race tomorrow, assuming we stay on planet longer than a day.
Oh yeah, he gives you like his comm number. Oh yeah, look me up if you can watch the race from like the pit.
She looks at him for a sec and goes, "It's that look like
it's the repair. It's the repair area where the car, where the speeder, sticks. It's where I would be with some of the pit crew."
Mm-hmm. Which one of you is driving?
Oh, Thal will be driving. I helped him work on it. Technically, the witches he is.
Maybe it'll be something to do. It'll be something fun to maybe even help out a little bit on the crew. I could use a little bit of entertainment while we're here. I'll double check with you, in case we stay here.
Oh yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Now let's cut over to Doc and Keltser.
Yes.
Doc, you look up some of the local medical supply places. The first few you contact don't have the... You could get the enzymes from about any of them, but the medicine you need, they don't have in the quantity that you need. Because this is a big bulk order.
Yeah.
You do get in contact with a production facility that can meet your order. They tell you they don't have... Well, technically they have that much in stock, but a lot of it's already been ordered by people that is just in the process of being shipped out. But they could fill that order. It'll take about 3 days. They tell you it would have been a little quicker, but with the festivities, a lot of the workers are off, and even some of the ones that aren't off are taking off. Quite a rash of stomach bugs and head colds and mysterious fevers as the festivities get closer. But he's happy to set up an appointment for you to come by and negotiate prices and stuff like that. Because you even without it being your department, negotiation being your department, bulk orders you can kind of negotiate the price a little bit more than if you just walk into a shop to buy something.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So the two of you go out to the facility, and now, would the two of you contact the captain before engaging in negotiation, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I say Doc would go over. I would assume he has a comm link built in somewhere.
Or just one that he
Great.
can use.
And contact the captain. Let him know, like, hey, found a place. They're willing to do negotiation for a bulk order. It would just be a 3-day wait.
Very well, I can meet with them and negotiate the price.
So as Doc and Keltser are, like I said, they walked out the facility to kind of talk to the guy, set up the appointment for the negotiation. Which would be, they can meet later that day whenever the captain's free. But as you're walking through the streets, like I said, lots of festivities going on. There's street vendors selling food. Keltser, are you in your full Mando getup?
Yes.
All right, so you're getting you're getting some attention. Not necessarily as much as you got on the previous world.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing a Mando is kind of neat. It's not quite like a primitive culture seeing an off-worlder. Give me... Oh, I don't know. Perception... I guess search will be the closest to what I'm looking for here.
14. 16. 16.
Which is it? 14 or 16?
16, sorry. I rolled 14, and then I have that +2, so 16.
Yeah, I figured that's what it was. Remember where else, what pages I keep this stuff on the same time. There we go. $16. Yeah. All right. At one point, you notice a woman eyeing you. She's just kind of standing over this over propped up against a wall, eating some sort of breaded something on a stick. Some of the street vendor food. She's got a cloak on over whatever she's wearing, but what you can see under the cloak looks like some kind of Imperial uniform. Just kind of the basic, just the lines of it and kind of the cut makes you think Imperial.
Mm-hmm.
And she's giving you a very appraising look. This is the sort of look you might get from other bounty hunters or military personnel. And there's kind of a harshness to her eyes that you look at her and you go, that's another fighter.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't appear armed, but
You never know.
She could have something up under the cloak. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But she, like I said, she just kind of eyes you as you walk by. I mean, you are the only other person on the street that just screams combatant. So
Yeah.
Io, as you stroll along the city, there's the population is predominantly human, but you see other Twi'leks. You see, You see a couple of Rhodians. You see, a decent little mix of everybody else.
Okay.
You've got street vendors trying to sell you, souvenirs or little festive things to wear, or the, random street vendor food.
All right. Is there anywhere that she could get access to kind of like a public, public computer system? Not like trying to hack it, but like if someone wanted to use a computer and didn't have one, like a library situation.
They're bound to have something like that.
Okay. She is going to locate one of those.
Okay. You find one. It's basically a restaurant with like an outdoor seating area that's kind of got one on the side. That you could also use it as a comm. Think of it like a public phone kind of thing. If public phones would also let you internet, access the internet.
And when she dug up that information on Kubri, it said he had a warrant or a bounty or something.
He was wanted for questioning in the middle realm or middle.
Okay.
I forget exactly where. It was somewhere a decent ways off, but
she's going to make sure to do this while covering her tracks in any way possible. But she's going to send an anonymous tip that someone matching that description was spotted on this planet. And time and date. And send that off. And then be on her way and probably pick up a knickknack or something.
Kubrick's gonna feel so betrayed if he ever finds this out.
She covered her tracks really good. I can make a roll for how good she covered her tracks.
I don't know. Maybe just Kubri was bad at blending in.
You really sounded like that one guy from the telenovela.
Maybe Kubri's standing right behind her, reading it over her shoulder.
She's observant enough to be like,
huge,
checking.
Trifling nerf. But no, there's no need to make a roll because even if they traced it back to this phone, it's a
public station.
Yeah. But you get kind of an automated,
we'll look into this. Thank you for your contribution.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. She'll probably pick up some kind of street food and make her way back towards the ship. Significant Leku movements to any Twi'lek around.
And any of you walk by and you wiggle your head tentacles they wiggle back. Mostly just kind of the hi, how are you?
It's like the head nod thing, like.
Kind of. Unless you specifically start up a conversation, they're just kind of like, oh, hey.
Same hat, same hat.
Captain, once you're done negotiating your new friend, you get the call from Dot, hey, I think I found the spot we want to use. You'll need to come by and negotiate with him.
Okay.
And he gives you the location and all that.
Right.
Is that something you're going to do right away, or are you going to wait till later in the day?
He's going to want to get that done. He is before all else a businessman.
So you head over to kind of the business sector. Like I said, like everybody else, you're seeing street vendors everywhere. You're seeing festivities. At one point, you see a couple of drunks, having a fist fight over to one side.
Okay.
And some of the CorpSec security breaking them up. One of them calms down when the police show up. The other guy winds up getting tased.
Sounds about right.
Maybe a little more than was strictly necessary, but he did spill his beer on one of the officers. But as you get into the business sector, the one thing that does catch your eye is you see. I'm trying to think of what they have to describe it. Imagine the land speeder version of like a black limousine.
Okay.
It's parked in front of one of the newer buildings in the area. You see some people in suits that are clearly corpsec people.
Mm-hmm.
They get out. There's a car behind them that you see 4 stormtroopers get out of. And after the corpsec people get out of the limo, essentially, you see an Imperial officer get out.
Okay.
Middle-aged guy, gray around the temples.
Right.
And it strikes you as this guy's being given a tour.
Okay. Makes sense.
But he's got his own security with him. And you've got a lot of corpsec security around there, too. So, they're keeping people back. Though the streets right around here are not as busy with the festivities because this is a business area.
Yeah.
But nobody pays you any attention. That you're just another random pedestrian. But you get to the medical firm without any trouble. You tell them who you are. They show you into the boss. Well, not the boss, but one of the guys in sales.
Yeah.
Guy named Tonus.
Mm-hmm.
He's human.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least, well, he's a little pinkish, so he's human or close to human.
Right.
Maybe he's just sunburned, you don't know.
Who knows?
But of course, the secretary let him know you were coming, so he stands up and greets you by name. Oh, Captain Vin, it's nice to meet you.
It was nice to meet you as well.
I've spoke with your medical droid earlier, or someone in the company spoke with your medical droid earlier. I've got the report. That's a fair bit of medicine that you're needing.
Yes, we were contracted to bring some to a planet that is suffering infection.
Couldn't produce any on their own?
They prefer to outsource so they can take what they have and use it as necessary. Basically sourcing more supply.
Well, we are happy to supply them with what they need.
That's why I'm here.
As our people, told your droid, with the festivities and the sheer volume, it'll be about 3 days.
Understandable.
But we will pack it up for travel. We will deliver it to your ship.
Shit, my brain forgot what dock we were at.
114.
Thank you.
Important.
He can remember every name of every NPC in every game he's ever been in.
Where did we park again?
3-digit number. Oh yes, but he asked what you'll be paying in.
Well, I have
technically at this point you've probably got like Republic credits and Imperial credits.
Yeah, One thing that he would have done first is he would have gotten the silver converted to credits.
Okay.
And he said he'll say I have Republic credits. Well, actually, what would they have converted it to here, being CorpSec?
They would probably have been willing to do either Imperial or Republic. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure how much they even dealt with that in any of the novels as far as.
Okay, Republic credits.
All right.
I just rolled a dice. 1 to 3 was Republic, 4 to 6 was Imperial. I mean, he's used both, and he doesn't care one way or the other.
Yeah. It all depends.
Yeah.
But and we're not going to read exchange rates or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, his company's fine with that. They have got holdings both in some of the various Imperial Remnant territories as well as the Republic. So whatever kind of credits you give them, they can just shift that to wherever they can spend them best.
Yeah.
But the bulk medicine's gonna take 3 days. Now the enzymers, they've got enough of those on stock. You weren't buying a ton of those, so that's not a problem.
Yeah.
Once you finish negotiation, they can actually have that delivered today.
Mm-hmm.
So so there's some more chewing the fat. He asked a few more questions about the world. He seems curious, but not like it's a big deal. He's just
Yeah. So, the most he'd mention is they're an isolationist population.
His face is like he goes, "Oh, Luddites," but he doesn't actually say that.
Yeah, we were driven there by pirates, and they apparently decided to bite the bullet, so to speak, and ask for some help.
Well, it was good of you to help him out then.
Puts credits in my pocket.
But anyway, on to on to the real business, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulls up the sales sheet. Here's what we usually sell. This is how we price it when we sell to hospitals, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
So the medicines are, I think, 100 for a.
It's 100 for a med pack.
It's also 100 for medicines.
Okay.
Though I think medicines, I think it was more than like one dose that you got for that.
Yeah.
So 100. All right. So at the level of doses you need, just the baseline, out of the book price would be 1,000,000 credits. Plus 2 enzymers would be like 3,000.
Yeah.
Were you going to pick up some droids for the guy, or had y'all talked him out of that? I can't remember.
I think we talked him out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked him out of the droids and the communicator.
Because you want to be the only people he can go to when he needs supplies.
It's more of he knows He knows corporates or corporations because he did work with the Trade Federation.
Fair enough. It just happens to work out to your advantage as well.
Well, it does. And B, he's worked with Io long enough. He's well aware what people do to civilizations sometimes.
Yeah.
He's heard all the stories about the Hutts.
All the angry, drunken ramblings about the Hutts.
Mm-hmm.
It's our favorite ship activity. We all get really drunk, and Io just talks about the Hutts for like 3 hours.
Or anytime you notice she's been drinking, you say something nice about a Hutt, and that just sets her off.
Yep.
She goes on about the fracking
You know what?
slugs.
Fuck those guys.
She goes on about the fracking slugs for the next 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's become a drinking game.
But fracking, that's Battlestar.
I was actually gonna say that. Hold on, we're getting our lines crossed again.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Badeka can be dropping F-bombs the last 2 sessions, no problem. Even though those don't exist in Star Wars either.
The word exists, they just choose not to use it.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so, give me a bargaining roll.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely
we will adjust percentages based on how well you do or don't do.
I definitely need to be putting points into bargaining if I'm going to be doing this a lot more. That's not bad. 16?
You got a 12.
Hey.
Okay.
So you beat him, but did not double it.
Mm-hmm.
So while his initial offering was like a 10% price reduction, you talk him into 15.
Okay.
So let's see. Shoot, I had forgotten how to do percentages on a calculator. We'll figure that out later, though. But you know, you come out of the negotiation feeling like you've done pretty well.
Mm-hmm. So it'd be 1 million.
With the Alzheimer's, it was going to be like 1,003,000. You know, minus 15%.
So I only paid 850 grand for all that.
Yes.
Which means we effectively made a 150 grand profit.
Cha-ching.
Hey, Arnox off and be like, all right, we're done.
Good season, guys.
Yeah. So note to self: skill points into bartering. Since I'm doing well, I mean it's what he'd do anyway. So I'd need 12 skill points to bump that up to a 5D, I think. If I understand the system right.
Yep. 3 times your dice.
Yeah, okay, so I would need 12.
Wait, 3 times the dice to up a...
To up the skill.
Per pip is 1 dice, or equal to 1 of your dice. And then, so if you have 4, it's gonna be 4 dice. It's gonna be 4 points for a pip. But to get it up to the next dice level, it is 3 times your dice amount.
It's like if you're going from a 2D and you want to have a 3D, you would need 6 skill points.
Yeah. Whereas in my case, because I have a 4D in barter, in order to put them up to 5, I'd need 12.
Mm-hmm.
So I need 18 to get my blaster to 70.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, lovely.
But the trick is you can chip at it by paying 6 to get it up a pip, so you can go +1, +2, +3, or +1, +2, and then to the next dice amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can do it incrementally to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
Is the first thing I looked up when we started the system, because it's not gonna get caught flat-footed because I'm the one that has the trickiest one.
You absolutely are being a Force user.
Yep. Alright, so let's jump back over to Io, who was, after making her anonymous call, did a little shopping and whatever, but was basically heading back to the ship.
Yep. Got some street food lunch and was heading back to the ship.
Alright. Trying to find a picture. But apparently I stuck it in some random folder, so I'll just have to physically describe it. Alright, you get back to the ship, everything's gonna be fine. As soon as you drop the ramp, though, you hear your R2 unit frantically beeping as it rolls back to meet you at the ramp.
It's me. You can stop sounding an alarm.
You get an annoyed whistle, like, I know it was you.
Yes, then what?
And then
What's
he
the matter?
He spins around, basically whistles for you to come to the cockpit. Rolls back, towards the cockpit. Anytime he gets to a door, he looks behind you, make sure you're still coming.
She follows, grumbling about being ordered around by sentient vacuum cleaner.
You get a return whistle that's the equivalent of, I don't do floors.
Put the right chip in you and you will.
He will navigate you into a sun. But that's very low, kind of under his breath, so to speak.
Under the breath, this droid does not have.
All of our droids
but
are
he mimics
sassy.
it well.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, did I not upload this guy's token either? I'm slipping.
Wait, someone get into the ship?
No.
Oh.
He takes you over to the cockpit and he shows you. He plugs in and shows you something that he's seen. Because I'm going to assume that y'all's ship has, kind of a doorbell camera at least,
Yeah, we've at least got a ring cam.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon Nest.
And you see somebody walk up and seem to be studying your ship. He's in silver and black armor.
Full face helm.
I'll say that could be one of two things.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, he is wearing a helmet.
Imperial looking helmet.
No, not at all.
Mando looking helmet.
No. Though the overall gist of the armor, not Mando specifically, but it strikes you as that kind of heavily armed, either mercenary, bounty hunter, or something.
Do you have a picture?
Somewhere.
Yes, but no.
I found his token, so I'll at least show you what his token looks like. The token that I thought I already had loaded in here and did not. So let me jump y'all over to the ship map and let people see the ship map.
Starfighter, not included.
Yeah, that question came up from somebody, so.
That was me.
Yeah.
So if you're looking on the map, This is the guy that was standing outside.
Fucking Kenku.
Plague Doctor.
Aristocracy.
Oh no, it's an SCP.
Oh God.
Rifle strapped to his back. Oh no, not a rifle strapped to his back. He had a sword strapped to his back, blaster on his hip. And when I say sword, I mean, you see the hilt of an actual sword.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a vibroblade or anything like that. You don't know, but
Some kind of bladed weapon.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he stands there with his head slightly cocked to one side, studying the ship for a while. You see him walk off camera, walk back into camera. Arthur lets you know that his head circles the ship. He was ready to call the spaceport security if the guy had actually, messed with the ship. He didn't touch the ship, didn't do anything to the ship.
Mm-hmm.
But
you can't arrest me. I'm just recording.
The whole process was, a good 15 or 20 minutes.
Well, distinctive helmet at least. And she is going to start looking for any kind of record of that helmet.
It is a pretty distinctive helmet.
Is it like distinctive enough that it's like a certain group is known for it, or
give me a computer roll.
Computer roll, or like streetwise?
Culture.
A culture, yeah. Knowledge. Whichever one.
There's also alien races.
Or just tell me how many dice to throw.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head, you have no idea what this is. So go ahead and give me the computer use roll as you basically start searching for something that matches this description.
Gotcha. Hey.
29.
You managed to find several descriptions that match this guy. Only one or two kind of pics or bits of security footage. Apparently this is a bounty hunter. Atonk Corvus is his name. Not a lot's known about him. He's kind of an up-and-comer. Been making quite a name for himself. Takes a lot of bounties that are dead or alive.
Gonna do a second check to make sure no one on the ship has a bounty that they're not telling people about.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Would it be security or computer programming?
I don't know. Does the bounty...
Bounties are probably public record.
Yeah.
I'd say programming is like, writing programs.
We've also been using that as just like general computer
stuff.
use.
How good's your Google foo?
Yeah. As far as I know, we've been using that just as our general computer use.
Yeah.
Just work in a computer.
There doesn't seem... None of you guys seem to have anything official on you.
Unofficial?
That you would probably need to roll the
security.
Yeah, the security or the security if you're going to start trying to hack into places, or
they work enough with huts that she might know, where they would post their bounties or stuff like that.
Arc web.
Give me a streetwise for that.
This is all still within your wheelhouse.
It's the hut way.
Yeah.
All right,
I did
so
give the security in the streetlights, yeah.
all right, so the streetwise is 15. There is something very recently. One of the what you recognize is always one of the crime bosses from Nal Shaddaa. If I said that right.
Nar Shaddaa.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I
mean, you were close.
I do better if I'm looking at it, but I don't have it out. Anyway.
Mood.
Yeah. You got the planet and the moon like meshed together.
Combined, yeah.
Nal Hutta and Nar Shaddaa, and he said Nal Shaddaa.
That's really their
Yeah,
fault
right.
and not ours.
True. But
It's a little space between the two.
just a smidge. A few hundred thousand miles. What?
But yes, there is a contract out. Someone on Nar Shaddaa wants your captain.
Not me.
Somewhere Ozen's like, I'm not in trouble. I'm not in trouble.
Now you find this kind of on, as kind of rumor. It's not like you find a copy of a contract.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of under the table kind of stuff. But there is a Zabrak crime boss that from the rumor you find.
That's right.
His daughter had been shot. Adult daughter, part of the family business. And you do remember getting jumped in an alleyway, and there was a female Zabrak that seemed to be possibly running that little operation. And not a lot of people walked away from that alleyway other than y'all.
There was one that got away.
Did one of them get away?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's right, because you heard reinforcements coming, so y'all couldn't hawk him down.
Mm-hmm.
And we ducked into that building.
So yeah, from the rumors you pick up, the bounty is basically on the captain.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately calling the captain.
But like I said, this is not officially through the Bounty Hunter Guild, so there's like no official paper trail for this. The upside of that means you probably won't have, every bounty hunter and his brother showing up for you. The Zabrak probably went out and hired this specific guy for this specific job.
My daughter screwed up her first mission and you shot her.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he took that personal.
Apparently.
Took that personally.
Well, it's not that he cared, but the wife just won't stop going after him.
When are you going to get revenge? Why don't you care about our daughter?
She screwed up. I mean,
fine, I'll send somebody out to kill the guy.
Yeah, immediately calms the captain.
Though, according to the rumors, they want the captain alive. Which is, probably not a good thing for the captain, truthfully, but, Captain, you are on your way back from negotiations at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yes?
Wear a hat or something on your way back.
I'm going to assume there's a bounty.
maybe like a full face mask too. Do you think you could borrow a helmet or something? R2 caught some video of
His
some guy skulking about the ship.
his coat, he puts the hood up and then pulls up like the mask bit.
So there's this much of his face visible.
Yeah.
Covers the tattoos.
It does cover the tattoos, which he is kind of about, because that's a very anti-Miriellan thing to do.
Now you just look like a green guy, though.
But
he just keeps telling himself, I haven't seen any of my people on this planet. It'll be fine. He'll just feel really awkward when he rounds the corner and there's another.
Don't make eye contact. Someone back on Narshadar took offense to that whole scuffle in the alleyway.
Yeah,
they want you alive.
Well, that's not good. And he'll like duck into an alleyway real quick. Is there like how much like dirt, dust, and stuff is here?
In an alleyway, you don't have any trouble finding dirt.
He'll pick up some dirt, rub it together on his hands, basically on his gloves, effectively, and then he'll just close his eyes, rub it across his eyes, basically mat out the green, make it look a little bit more of a closer to a more neutral brownish shade. Sort of hide his skin color a bit better. Then he'll wipe his gloves off because he just looks dirty anyway. With the whole hood, mask, and all that, and then he will head to the ship. And he will also, I will note, will be sticking near crowds, so people can't really.
Crowds are not hard to find.
Yeah.
Once you get out of a little business area, anyway. So you get back to the ship without any major issues.
Okay.
Now, how are you approaching the ship?
Repels from the ceiling, drops onto the ship.
No, he will. He will go up and will calm the ship like he was some representative or somebody there to talk to the crew.
Great, they're trying to sell us insurance.
We're here to reach you about your ship's extended warranty.
Who's this filthy guy out here?
This is a trick Io would probably recognize, having flown with him for long enough.
Yeah, she'll open the door, keep an eyeball over shoulder.
I feel like for comedic effect, Ozen just walks by, doesn't even clock that it's the captain, and just on her way to the ship.
He looks very different like this. Yeah. He'll like hands out like
like looking back like fuck, and then keep walking.
And he will be not saying a word. And he'll just be the poor pitiful like, please spare.
Motions onto the ship.
Folds his hands back, bows, and then shuffles onto the ship.
All right.
Are you sure that was dirt?
Yes, I'm quite sure.
All right. Are Doc and Keltser getting up to anything else as they're wandering around?
She will look to see about getting a chip for him.
Okay.
It's like, I just imagine Ozen's reaction, like sees the filthy man walk in, pull the mask down, throw the hood back. It's the captain.
Neat trick. She goes to her room.
To contemplate the cube.
Ponder the cube.
Passengers later be like, "Is that a euphemism for something?" And there we don't know.
No.
Yes and no.
Yes, but actually no.
Okay. Oh yeah, but back to Doc and Keltser. Is there anything else y'all want to do, or y'all just return to the ship?
Look to see if we can get the chip that the captain had been
That's
talking
right.
about.
You had just said that.
Yeah.
I don't think those are in the price list I've got. But I want to say Eric had said they weren't very expensive.
Like he said, yeah, 400 credits.
I mean, I didn't find like how much they are separately, but there is let's see, droid add-ons, droid gear. No.
Don't even have to spend skill points to level up.
Let's see, owner gear, droid customization kit. Cost 400. Additional costs for specific attachments may also be incurred, and then it has like an entire, like actually, hold on, I will list the page since it's a whole last list of everything the kit includes for 400.
Ooh, okay. Is it in the game or the source book?
I just linked it in Tuesday night's all right.
Let's see. Ooh.
Yeah, we'll have to.
He still have to spend skill points, or since technically it's a player character.
Yeah, this is probably.
Not trying to kill anyone's fun. I'm just saying it's kind of, you know.
No, that'd be very broken to be able to go buy a kit and just be like, haha, upgrades.
Yeah.
You shoot people now, plus 8 to your fucking fire blaster.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Well, it also says most hardware editions also requires successful installation of corresponding software programming to properly interface new equipment, and the game master must determine specific difficulty levels and time taken.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But a lot of this, he already kind of has.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, if you wanted to pick something like that up, you could. And then before next session, we'll dig into how that's actually going to work for a player character and stuff. And if it turns out that it just does not work, you won't have actually spent the money. It'll be fine. Since there's a time involvement thing, it's probably not going to happen within this little bit of story anyway.
I mean, it could be that he's just like a unique droid that the mass-produced stuff doesn't work on.
He's been modified. But anyway, y'all go to the I don't want to say droid store, but you go to the hardware place, and you're poking around at what to get. And there are other people in droids, doing some shopping. As y'all are around in a corner, another droid comes around the corner and kind of bumps into you, Doc. Does a little kind of slow backpedal.
This thing.
Oh, excuse me. That was terribly clumsy of me.
It's all right. My apologies for not paying attention either.
And he kind of, destroy stops, looks at you. Are you by any chance a MD5?
Affirmative.
Were you produced at? And he rattles off the name of the facility you were produced at.
Affirmative. Is there a need for repairs? Or upgrades?
Oh well,
Recalled.
no. It's simply I was produced at the same facility as the MD5 models. I am BL17. Glad to make your acquaintance.
Oh, the pleasure is mine.
I was always a little envious of you specialized units. My line was created as a generalist and never really caught on, so there's unfortunately not very many of my my line running around.
A shame. As a generalist, you can eventually be upgraded to some type of specialist.
Yes, if my owner would just spend the money.
By himself?
Do what now?
This droid by themselves? I'm not there. I'm just curious about the scene.
He's alone. He seems to be alone in the store now. Whether his owner is somewhere else in the store or whether he was sent to fetch something, who knows? But no, he is carrying a package of something, that he's picked up. Are you here to upgrade yourself?
Possibly. Captain was talking about something to help with possibly being better at working components of ship.
Oh. So they want you to repair a ship as well as repair the crew, huh?
Something to that effect. Doesn't bother me any. Simply be able to repair both would be great.
And he looks over at Keltser. Is this your captain?
No, but owner.
Ah, so she works for the captain and you work for her, or she works for the captain, thus you work for the captain. Ah,
Affirmative. She works for the captain.
well, I won't take up any of your time. It was a pleasure to meet you. And he
Likewise.
And he kind of gives a little nod to Keltser, and then kind of waddles on his way.
Again, how strange. A generalized unit can be made into so many things. I can only do one thing, and that's sadly repair people.
I mean, we could always buy modifications for you.
That would be, how do you say, nice. Be able to do more than just patch people.
I mean, you were kind of created to just patch people.
Affirmative. However, it would be more beneficial to captain and crew to do more than just one thing. Though again, if y'all are ever injured and he kind of like raises his arm and has like maybe a couple tools pop out of his fingers, at least you know you will be well cared of.
Syringe finger.
Basically, just like pops a little tool out.
It's a buzzsaw.
I need a roll from Keltser on knowledge cultures.
Yeah. Cultures 2D.
Oof.
10? 12. 2D plus 2. 12.
Okay, thank you. I'll let you know if that becomes relevant at some point.
Okay.
But anyway, you pick up whatever you're going to pick up at the shop. You make it the rest of the way back to the ship without any trouble. So everybody's back on board the ship, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
I think I was going to be hanging out in the lounge area, with everyone as they come in, just being like, "Yeah, this guy has a speeder, and apparently they're doing a race tomorrow."
Yeah, the whole area is kind of tied up in it.
Yeah. Figure, we're not going to be able to leave anyway. You might as well. Can't beat them. Join them.
Could probably beat them, but we don't have a racer.
I didn't mean join, like literally join the race, but take part in the festivities. A little bit of downtime never hurt anyone.
Well, I will be
Glancing
on the
over
ship.
at Captain.
I'll be staying
wasn't
on
there,
the
I don't
ship
care.
myself.
Yeah.
Did I miss something?
Yeah, apparently that group that jumped us in the alley put a hit on me.
You were
And
jumped in the alley?
There's a bounty hunter on the planet here to collect.
Do we know what this bounty hunter looks like?
Immediate video on screen.
Okay.
The mask thing is a little much.
A bit.
Bounty hunters.
No offense.
Of course, you can't. She hasn't taken her helmet off yet, but you don't see Keltser rolls their eyes.
Oh no, is she Death Watch?
Huh? No, she hasn't taken it off yet, but she does take off the helmet.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Is she part of a cult?
No, she's not a part of that clan that
That's
does
a cult.
that.
That's a cult.
A cult clan. No, she does take her helmet off. You guys seen her without her helmet on?
Have we?
Fair enough.
Yes.
Yeah, even her tokens does have a helmet on.
Yes.
Well, okay, fine then.
When we were on Nar Shaddaa and at the bar, the helmet was off her head.
That's right.
Otherwise, she'd have drank the straws.
Crazy straws.
So yeah, I've got a bounty. So I will be stuck here on the ship for a while.
I mean, we're gonna be here for a few days anyway. I'll see what I can find.
3 days in particular, actually.
3 days exactly.
Now,
I
few
get to catch a race.
is more than a couple, and 3
Well,
is more than 2.
Well, I'm saying the shipment will be done in 3 days. The enzymers will be here either today or tomorrow. And I managed to negotiate a 150 grand profit.
Oh, I mean we're just out of debt with the hut.
We'll see. I don't want to pay it off. I don't want to pay it off immediately because it will be work. And if I'm quite honest, the more work the hut brings, the more of his operations we can learn about, which means the more we can rip his little empire apart.
Oh, you are intending to do that. I didn't know.
There's one thing I hate above all else is slavery in any form.
Well, the ship is his cousin's, so I would
Nephew.
be careful saying anything on it.
I already sweeped it.
Yeah, if there's not any bugs on it. We would have already gotten in trouble for 1 or 2 of my drunken rants.
That's fair. That is. Well, one of the racers liked me enough to buy me a drink, and please don't look at me like that.
As
I'm
I,
not.
Like what?
I'm not.
as
I
I
am not
realized,
that
looking at the
old.
camera, Io and Ira made the exact same face, almost.
I am not that old.
No, mm, that wasn't
what
what I
is
was
it?
insinuating.
Then what is it, Aya?
It's just usually you don't allow yourself to be purchased drinks.
It's just At first, it was a way to, just figure out what's going on in the city, and then
Free
I'm
drinks are
not.
free drinks.
Yes, and it's certainly better than. And she holds up her it's like it's like a gourd, but like
Space
wider.
flask.
Yeah, it's like just a wider gourd that's like metallic. It's like better than this.
Yeah, free drinks are free drinks.
But I thought I'd go check out the races, and maybe it's interesting, maybe it's not. If anything, it's just people going around in circles for 3 hours.
Maybe there'll be explosions too.
There
Maybe.
usually is.
Well, if the pilots aren't good enough.
Fair. But I have the unique opportunity to get the point of view from the pit area.
Hmm.
We'll see.
Well,
So if you need me, I will be doing that tomorrow. Not that I anticipate we do anything else.
did any of you disguise yourselves as you came in?
My head's always up.
Well, those of you that didn't, or are rather distinctive, I'd keep your eyes up. Keep your eyes out.
If they're looking for you, they probably are at least, hopefully, smart enough to know what the crew looks like.
They are aware of us.
All
If
right.
they want to try to fight me by the pit, they are certainly welcome to try.
Get in the pit!
Real quick,
Meet me
I
in
am-
the fucking pit stop.
I am going to state that the moment you made the remark of keep an eye out, literally Doc is going to take his hand behind his head and pop out one octet sensor.
That's
I say again, who in the hell made you?
Oh,
or
right.
reprogrammed them.
You did not mean literally. Slowly turns it back.
At this
Sorry.
point, the R2 unit whistles. There's some delivery guys out back.
I'll go take care of it.
All right.
It's the Enzymers being delivered.
Okay.
They've got it on a little repulsor lift. Where do you want it, lady?
She'll motion towards like the back of the bay since she figures the rest of the bay will be filled up with the medications.
Yeah, they drop it off. You sign for it, or a thumbprint, or however they do it in Star Wars.
Credits are paid, regardless.
Yeah, it's secured, strapped down.
I was gonna take a quick peek at it, make sure there's nothing weird on it.
Hunky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will join in that just to
Alright.
be sure.
Both of you give me a search roll.
Yep.
11.
No, you don't spot anything weird.
23.
You find a little tracking fob attached to the outside. It was not inside.
Sure. It's on the pallet itself, or it's in the ship.
It's on the pallet.
It's on the pallet. Okay.
It's like
Can't
you've
you
got
find
the
anything
big kind of crate, that the Enzymers are in,
Mhm.
and then like you're saying, it was the pallet. It kind of slid up under there.
I'll just do I get the sense that it's like so it's not like some sort of thing where it's a audio or a video recorder? It's just like a GPS locator.
You don't see a camera on it, but that's not really your specialty.
Fair enough.
I could probably tell.
Yep.
He showed for it.
You're pretty sure it's just for tracking.
Okay. I'll look at the captain and look at Io and just play like point at the little. At this point, you guys see a little red flashing light or something.
Would you mind dealing with that?
Yeah, I wanted some more street food. I'm gonna go take care of this. Pops it in her pocket, and she'll probably try and either leave it like underside a table or something.
Not gonna try
Maybe
to attach
slap it on another shipment.
Okay. So
If there's-
regardless, she goes out and ditches it somewhere.
Yeah. She doesn't like put it on a moving person or anything, probably, that she doesn't know, because she's not gonna put that voodoo out there.
Put it underneath a table at a public place.
Yeah, just like bubble gum or something. And she'll be very kind of aware of her situation as she's walking back. Stick to crowds, well-traveled areas, that kind of thing.
While you're out,
I just have a yell if you need something.
Oh, that'll be the second thing I do.
you see the you're passing through an area that's got some vid screens up. And you've seen advertisements for the race throughout the day, but another advertisement for the race. Which, by the way, I've got a picture of the race.
You've got a flyer? Oh.
I did not do an entire flyer. That would have been a great idea, though.
Next time.
Well, I mean, next
Another
week,
day.
because
Yeah.
isn't race time yet.
But
It has where you can place your bets and the odds of each one winning.
but that is the racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
You have you have the stands, the little segmented area around the top rim there, and then that tower. Those are basically the tubes that the speeders will be driving through.
That's not going to be dangerous at all.
Oh no, not
Absolutely not.
at all. It's big enough that the speeders can pass each other and so forth. They can also build up speed
like
and
Are the little pods like the little pit area?
Or like the executive boxes.
Yeah, those are like the executive boxes, or some of the film crews may be there. The pits would be down in that little green area in the center.
Okay. Kind of far from the track.
Well, the track starts down there.
Ah.
That's kind of where the entrance is, and then they come out on top once the race is over. But
Gotcha.
But then after the advertisement, you see it's like a little news report, and you were watching some of the local city corpsec guys escorting around some Imperials. You see a few stormtroopers mixed in with corpsec security guys. And the article is basically telling them, there's representatives from... They just say the Empire. They don't specify, like, which Moff or... Because I'm not sure... I'm not sure how much they would know about the current inner workings of how the Remnants piece together at the moment.
She'll kind of pause long enough to listen to that full report.
They're here. It's an ambassadorial kind of sort of thing. The Grand Moff it's not the Grand Moff that's here, but the Grand Moff wants to incorporate the corporate sector, into the Empire, like he has the surrounding. Do what now?
Like a show of goodwill kind of thing.
Yeah. that's why they're here, for the festival or whatever. And there's a note made about the fact that they built they basically built the racetrack at the old Imperial base outside the city, or at the edge of the city. But and they mentioned that he will be at the ambassador will be at the race. You see, like there's him, there's stormtroopers. You see a woman in black standing near him. She's clearly wearing. You can't, off the top of your head, you can't identify her uniform. The cut of the thing screams Imperial, but
yeah, not like what department or anything.
Mm-hmm. But she's just kind of in the background. And then it goes off to other local news,
And here's the weather.
It's going to be a beautiful day for the race tomorrow.
Okay. She'll kind of pass that information on when they get back. All more reason to stay on the ship. At least to her.
What's the Empire ever done to her?
Existed.
I promise you, the Empire has no interest in any of y'all. At the moment.
We've played enough games with you. I'm going to roll insight check on the storyteller.
At advantage.
Yeah, at advantage because of experience.
You don't think he's plotting. You don't think he's plotting anything against you.
Yeah, but I don't not think that he's not plotting anything.
See, we don't think it, we know it.
You only suspect.
We have strong hunches.
All right. So you get up the next day. I know Ozin was planning to go to the race. Who else is going to the race?
You know what? Just because there should probably at least be 2 people there just for, security. Io will tag along after, double buttoning down the security on the ship.
It's not like the captain's going anywhere.
Yeah, but she doesn't trust him to know how to do security stuff.
Fair enough.
But is it safe for the captain on the ship? Since that'd be the one place they would be pretty sure he was. Or if he's disguised and running around, he could be anywhere. Just throwing that out there.
We don't know.
True, they have to actually open the door to get to him, and that's easier said than done.
Could also just take off with the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy crow bounty hunter guy just clinging to the side.
I mean, fine. If he wants to clean at the side, he can die in space.
Or not. He could be a droid for all you know. He'd survive hyperspace fine.
He survived space, probably not hyperspace.
When we get there, I would have introduced Io to everybody and this is my friend Io. Io or Io?
Io.
Io. Just dangerous out in the streets to be alone.
Alright, so
The captain's got the droid and the medic back on the ship. Or the droid and the Mando back on the ship.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Fine.
I'm sure if anything goes down, we'll be totally able to reach us.
Nothing in Star Wars exists that stops communication at all.
Nothing does.
Not unless there's going to be an invasion.
Yeah.
Alright, so there is Jord.
That's an unfortunate haircut, Jord.
I do
That's
remember seeing
culturally
this one, though.
insensitive.
She doesn't say it out loud.
But,
Just kind of awkwardly staring at it for a moment.
his buddy Thal has got his hair is red. He's got a similar hairstyle, but it covers a little bit more of the top of the head. You know, the ponytail lays over his shoulder. Let's see. Probably don't need to show his token. All right. So as you walk in, Jord lights up, and steps over to see you.
Hi.
You introduce Io, and he shakes hands, introduces himself as Jord. As you walk in, Thal is on he's got like a little hologram unit out, and he's talking to some lady.
Thal's going to racing.
Do what now?
Thal's the racer, right?
Yeah, he's the one that's gonna be piloting the racer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's saying that to Io. Thal is going to be the pilot for the race.
Ah.
Did I pick up anything that he's saying?
Thal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to find the name of the woman he's talking to.
Hmm.
Kia, I think her name. Yeah, that's it. You pick up, you hear him say the woman's name's Kia. And it sounds a lot like a phone. It sounds a lot like somebody calling, like their spouse from work and just chewing the fat for a little bit.
Yeah.
And George's like, oh yeah, he's just talking to his wife for the race.
Okay. Good luck. I get it.
And Ozan, you realize you've heard the Kia name before. That whole story about, the previous race they were in and Boba Fett was there. Yeah, she was involved apparently.
Ah.
Worked for the rebellion, or her mom worked for the rebellion. You weren't paying attention. You don't know.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, we invited her to come along, but she said this sounded like a boys' weekend out. So.
Well, I'm sorry that the girls here mucked it up then.
Oh no, that's not what I meant. That was just what Kia thought.
She just like giggles and is like, no, it's a joke.
But he's like, kind of like, come on, lady, and he introduced you to some other members of the pit crew. Just other grease monkey type guys. Well, they're not all guys. But...
Yeah.
And you see the White Witch. It's sitting out. There is an old
witch they called it.
And Io, when Ozan this is the White Witch. George he launches into what they've done to the ship. You might Io might be able to follow it a little better than Ozan.
Yeah, for sure.
She could probably follow it, but speeder racing isn't her thing. She's like, oh, you're using that brand? That brand's horrible.
Well, we had to mod it slightly, but what you pick up is they haven't done a lot of racing in the last few years, and what little bit they did wasn't with this speeder, because the one or two races they've gotten into, kind of on behalf of their company, well, they had to use the company's brand of speeder, and this is,
yeah,
this is by this point particularly a much older speeder.
It's not old, it's a classic.
You scored some points with George pointing that out. But it was popular with the kids. When we were teenagers, it was popular with the teenagers because it was easy to fix yourself, fairly reliable. So did none of the rest of your crew wanted to see the race?
Unfortunately, they had previous engagements. Mostly came to the planet to pick up a few things, and they're just tying up some loose ends. I'm sure they'll be watching it when it's broadcast.
Oh yeah, it's going out. It's going out sector wide.
No pressure then.
No. Ship's in tip-top condition. He gestures to the older model. It's an old astromech, but it's one of those more squared-off, saucer-headed ones.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "Oh yeah, well I realize he looks like an older unit, but we've got his programming modified and all. He's great at keeping the systems leveled out like they need to be. He's not as good as the old R2 unit we had, but we kind of.
What happened to?
Well, so we got a job offer. I've mentioned that. But part of that was going to involve us having to upgrade our droids and memory wipe them. And me and Thal were a little iffy on that.
Seems like a weird requirement.
Corporate security software or something. I forget exactly.
Sentimental attachment.
But we don't know what happened. We jumped into hyperspace. And after that, we realized they were gone, as well as one of the escape pods. We're assuming they overheard us. And I don't know if they fled, afraid we were going to take the job offer, because we had decided not to take it. But, once they were gone, we went ahead and signed up.
Interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, this little fella here, T7 here, do me just fine, or do Thal just fine. Hopefully, in this race, no bounty hunters will be shooting at him.
Hopefully not. Hopefully it's just a race.
Just a race. Nothing's going to go wrong at all.
Why did you have to say it?
That'll be fine. George's like, I've got a good feeling about this.
Io probably thinking it, me just saying it.
Alright, so you'll have extra hands on deck.
Alright. Okay, it's 9 o'clock. But I do kind of want something to happen before it. Alright. So eventually Thal gets done with his phone call. And he comes over and says hi, shakes everybody's hand. As he's getting ready to get into the speeder, another figure walks in. And George kind of looks up and goes, hey, kind of, not restricted, but this is,
What are you doing in our pit?
Yeah, basically, it's like, oh, hey, race, we're getting ready to start a race here. The two of you turn around and see that crow motifed bounty hunter.
Oh man, the Kill Bill sirens.
Sword strapped to his back, gun on his side, no weapons drawn. And you hear a it sounds like his helmet is disguising his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Voice modulator.
Thank you. I was trying to think of that term. But I'm here to speak to the women. He's got a very step aside grease monkey tone to his voice. And you can see Jord kind of bristle, up at that just a little bit.
Ozin does a inhale, exhale, and I'll use calm again to make sure don't fly off the handle. I make it. I rolled 6, 12, 13, 14, 14. DC's 10.
Look, I don't care who you need to talk to. I think you're going to step out of our pit. As he's talking, Thal has kind of set his racing helmet to the side, and is kind of stepping over, like, just in case I gotta back my buddy up. Ozin, you notice him kind of slide his hand kind of back behind him to a container on his belt.
Yeah, I'll no sudden movements, please. You want to talk to us, you can talk to us.
Where's your captain?
No. Big planet.
It will go much easier for you if you simply tell me where I can speak with him.
How tall's Ozin?
Ozin's not very tall. Ozin is like 5'9".
Good enough. Io's like partially kind of stepped behind Ozin.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the, oh no, I'm a meek little Twi'lek. And has popped open a channel on her comm back to the ship, but muted it like on her end.
All right. So yeah, I'm gonna say your R2 unit is probably the one that answers the comm, and then probably pumps it through the ship so everybody can hear it wherever they're at.
I don't know where he is. It's a big planet. I legitimately could not tell you. I woke up and came to the race.
Call here.
Just trying to enjoy a race.
Airda is recording while this is happening.
With what?
I seriously doubt anyone's walking around here without a comm unit.
Fucking A. And she will call Airda. Trying to do it on like a channel where it can't be traced or something. But she's not very good at it.
Yeah. While you're doing that, George is once again telling him to get out. Goes up to push him. The guy, just grabs George's arm and just kind of twists it to the side, very easily from the looks of it. Yeah. And George is not like a small dude.
George, it's fine. We're going to handle this.
Let's just step outside so this gentleman doesn't.
Racing arm. We'll go talk like.
We'll just step outside.
I was like, you don't have to.
Well, we're just stepping outside. We're not like leaving the area.
Yeah,
we're like literally just right outside the pit.
And several other members of the pit crew have reached over and grabbed tools.
Gonna beat him up with a wrench.
You laugh.
A spanner.
How far away was the pit from the ship?
It's a few miles. You know,
Okay.
if you called it basically like a taxi speed or something, you could get there pretty quick.
Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna call him just to show that I am, at least for now, complying.
All right, Captain, you get another call coming in.
You would have heard, call him.
Yeah.
So it's up to him, however he wants to react.
He'll tell R2 to mute the speakers, but keep recording what Io is piping. And he will answer his own comm unit. So basically, basically the guy threatening them is not hearing himself being recorded through.
Not catching the reverb.
Not getting a feedback loop.
Is your mic? Did you have your mic hit? What?
Mhm.
Is it coming through your
Hey,
speakers?
I need you to turn down your radio.
Okay, what was this dude's name again?
Something Corvus.
Corvus.
Aatank. Atonk.
Atonk Corvus.
Yeah.
Corvus and Dallas.
What was the Zabrak's name?
I don't know that I ever gave her one. But the crime boss, we'll give him a name right quick.
Steve.
Is that you?
Grab my list of
You can't
Star
just
Wars
say
names.
names. You know he's gonna take them at some point. That's how he gets Staska.
Well, I have a
Is
list of
that
Star
how
Wars
we got
names.
Staska?
So. I think with Staska, I think I did a quick Google of Russian names or something that came up.
Yeah. We need to have a Staska show up in this game because space.
And there are lizard races. So
The
you can-
Trandoshan.
Yeah. A Trandoshan
Oh,
named
God.
Staska.
He owns like a space Cinnabon.
Yes.
Retired from the life of crime and just has a sweets bakery now.
Because I was sitting here while you all were talking to the pit crew, I decided to do that. Get my dice box. Just stairs.
So yeah, the crime boss is named Miko Nelprin.
Okay. Miko
Miko
Nelprin.
Nelprin.
Okay.
Nobody you ever met in person.
Mm-hmm.
Just a name you've been vaguely aware of.
Yeah. Okay, so he'll answer. Yes.
Oh, hi, Captain.
You've been
Saying it out loud,
gone for less than an hour. What happened now?
I don't know. You tell me, weird beak mask person.
Corvus starts to speak, and y'all step just like right outside of the pit. Not out into the field, like in view of everybody, but
No, just
back into kind of the hallway that connects the pits.
yes.
Just so they stop trying to break other people's arms.
But as Corvus starts to talk, a little crowd of folks come around the corner.
More Kill Bill sirens.
Apparently, the Imperial diplomat is being given like a tour of the place before the race.
Fascinating.
They freeze when they see this little group ahead of you with a heavily armed guy.
Did the two of you clue the captain in that there's
This is happening
an
awfully quick.
delegation there?
But as
We
they
haven't had time to react yet.
Let's say, did the two of them go like, "Oh, Imperials"?
No, not yet.
Yeah, haven't had time to
I'm
react.
not aware. I'm looking right at this bounty hunter.
well,
Fair enough.
you might hear the people talking.
And this Mr. Imperial isn't
What the? So as everybody notices everybody, the woman in black is there, and she steps kind of in front of the ambassador, and pulls something from her belt. Ozen, you recognize it without a doubt. She doesn't light it up, but there is a lightsaber in her hand.
Ooh.
An Inquisitor.
And given how she's dressed, alarm bells are seriously going off in the back of your head now. And you recognize? Oh crap!
Yeah. Oh, this is like we gotta go.
She's not paying much attention to. It's like her eyes sweep over everybody else, but she focuses on the heavily armed guy that probably shouldn't be.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, she's stepped up in front of the higher ranked fellow.
Yep.
And that is where we will wrap for today.
Whew. Everything's fine.
We just wanted to go see a race, man.
There will be a race. I've looked up the racing rules. Well, what I'm going to use for racing rules.
The race will be Io and Ozen trying to run from this.
You don't run very far from an Inquisitor.
We're gonna kneecap the heavily armored guy, throw them at the Inquisitor.
You know, in fact, it took me a little while to find kind of example stats for an Inquisitor. I kept running searches. And Grand Inquisitor kept coming up. That seemed like a little bit
grand.
Much.
A little much.
But somebody has done a fan-done Ahsoka source book, so there's some stuff in there.
We're fighting like the 9th sister, not the 2nd sister. No, wrong game.
Well, there is an 8th brother or 7th brother.
Doesn't surprise me.
Let's see. Geez, that reminds me. How many of the sisters are still even alive?
There's no telling.
Because I know in the newest Star Wars game, I think like 3 or 4 of them got offed.
I know several of them got offed in the Clone Wars.
2 of them.
Is it 2? I thought it was 3.
All right, let's put this tangent on hold for just a minute.
So I don't want to spoil a game from 2 years ago.
Anyway, so that wraps us up for today. Hope anybody that came by and checked us out had fun. Glad to see Davey in the chat again. Hope you guys had fun. Yeah. I certainly had fun running. And, you know, if any viewers out there aren't tired of Dire Bear yet, Jeremy,
like
you're right. That's a aren't tired of gaming. Jeremy, what we got coming up this week?
So tomorrow is False Kalla Nights with JT. Thursday is a Knight's Ransom with Pink Rambo. Saturday is Stolen Cities with Alex. Sunday is Fahrenheit with Trail. Monday is actually, they had the season finale yesterday of the Troubleshooters. So that is on a month-long break, and they'll come back for the final season of the Troubleshooters next month.
So season 4,
Season 4 is
this was season 3, right? Okay, so season 4
3, and season 4 is going to be the final season.
Okay.
Then, from what I understand, after that, Cap wants to run The Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
I have been curious about that, but not curious enough to buy it.
It is a trip, let me tell you.
A module you can beat successfully without going into combat once.
Very true. All I will say, being a DM running that module at present, is entirely possible, because it happened to me, to have you as the DM, your dice go, you don't need to run this chapter at all.
Oh, nice.
Don't worry, you studied this chapter? Nah.
Yeah, legitimately. I studied like a huge chunk of chapter 4. Random encounter number 1. Random encounter. Dice rolls decided, nope, you're skipping straight to chapter 5.
That's when you're like, no, Dice, you're wrong.
That's the Feywild, baby. But then we come back on Tuesday with us playing some Star Wars.
Remnant Shadow. Always throw the actual title out there.
Yeah, you can do that after I say Star Wars. That's fine.
So anyway, that does it for today. We will see y'all next week.
Bye.